And we're at the Media Leaders Summit in our Media Leader studio with Lydia Amoah from Backlight. Thank you so much for joining me.
That's okay, lovely to be here.
And so you're a regular at our events.
I am.
And so I'm just curious, this is our kind of halfway point of the year event where we're trying to figure out what's happened, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
What was your kind of thinking around the panels? What were the vibes?
Well, I love the panel, we have to look at the elections. A lot of people in the industry are talking about, well, what will be the result of the elections? Have a massive impact on the budgets, spend and everything else like that. And obviously for a business like myself, running Backlight, we're an agency and we look into research and so on and so forth. We're always looking for investment. And you listen after just coming back from Cannes, hearing all the conversations all about, we're waiting for the elections. So to hear a conversation today in this beautiful space, talking about Biden and talking about Trump, it just really brings the reality to the forefront of our minds. And what I felt from the conversations on the panel, that the conversation was saying that, it probably is going to lean more towards Trump, and then I sit back and think, okay, well, what does that look like for America as well as the rest of the world, culturally, inclusively, identity, all of it. It's a big thing.
Yeah, and I think there were definitely some moments when in the various panels, whether that was the Bloomberg presentation about the kind of, things are looking a bit more up economically, and then politically this is kind of the landscape of, well, Labour's likely to get in, but Trump is, if this happens, then this and so there is a lot of kind of cautious optimism in some areas, but not all areas.
No, because the thing is, at the end of the day, whatever happens, whoever is in government, apart from that, we still... of course they have influence and power, but we also do as well. We have to actually, I think more than ever, hold on to that right now, because what hope is there if you don't? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think one of the panels was speaking about, as media leaders, what their focuses should be. Yeah. And so do you think the media industry, what should the top focus be for the media industry for this year?
Well, I think for the media industry, everything starts from the top. Okay, so we saw the awards that were given out to all the leaders, and there was a question. They were given questions of like, what's a key attribute of a great leader? Someone said humanity. I think it was Dominic Williams from Daily Mail Group was speaking about that. And of course, you need humanity in the way that you lead people, because if you can't be just big dictatorial towards people, because you'll never get the best results. And you've got to have some compassion and understanding for the people that you lead, and understand who they are, the challenges that they face, and what else can be done to bring out the best in them in business. And I think everything's about leading really well, leading your people well, and especially with the economy. We're not too sure which way it's going, although, like you say, there's some optimism that is changing. We need that. Yeah.
And I think there was also some discussion about discussion about what were some issues that have maybe been fallen down the agenda, down the list, should be reprioritised.
Yes, obviously a lot of DI budgets have been cut, haven't they? And what I always want to get across the message is that with DE&I, it's about diversity, equity and inclusion. But I think if we focus in business on inclusion, we're talking to everybody, and I think you just have to use psychological language that's going to work for everybody to make sure that impact has happened. So we want to see people of all backgrounds, all ethnicities, all genders, faith backgrounds and everything, given the best opportunities for business, because without it, businesses can't thrive.
And obviously, we're at an interesting moment with the general election next week, as we just talked about.
Yes.
What impact are you expecting from the general election going forward? I mean, there is a lot of uncertainty. I think that's something that we can say for sure in a funny way, that there will be uncertainty no matter who gets in. Yeah, there will be uncertainty. A period of that. Yeah, there will be a period of uncertainty. And I think what we have to really be mindful of is the impact it will have on the actual public and how they will respond to that. It's a really serious time. Because those who have particular points of views will come to the surface. Will come to the surface. So we need to have safety in the communities that we live in, because whoever wins
somebody feels they're losing.
Yeah.
You know, and whoever's losing is how they respond to losing. Does that make sense? And what that means to where you live.
Yeah.
And how people will treat other people. It's a bit like when Brexit happened.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
there was a certain time people felt very unsafe, and there were a lot of things that were happening out there, and we don't want that this time round.
Yeah, I think
that's really
advertisers
important.
need to bear that in mind as
They
well
definitely
when
need to
they're
bear that
speaking
in
to
mind.
different communities and all of
Yeah,
that.
because advertising is a powerful tool. It's about meeting people. It's about sharing messages. It's about building brands. It's about reaching new audiences or maintaining audiences. So every agency, every advertising agency, every brand needs to up their cultural awareness and society awareness and political awareness in these times.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah, and on a final question is, so we're at the halfway point of the year now, but what would you like to see more of for the rest of the year?
What I'd really like to see more of, I want to see more opportunities arise. I'd like the economy, for us to focus on the good parts of the economy that are changing, but also for the wealth that we have to help those that are really in need. You know, whether that's in business or whether that's for the wider remit and so on. But I'd like it to, because the beginning of the year felt a bit like doom and gloom, didn't it? You know, many of my clients or many of my friends who run their own businesses or even big corporate businesses, they've made cutbacks. You know, people are still awaiting that contract to be signed. Yeah. So obviously, we want to finish 2024 like it's never been before and make it positive and hope that, you know, that some winning contracts can come through and the elections take the pressure off and we can begin to move, because I think everybody feels a little bit stagnant at this moment in time.
Suspended. Yeah. Okay, more momentum, more positivity.
More momentum, exactly. Yeah,
okay.
Always.
I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much,
Lydia.
Lydia.
Thank you.